Good afternoon everybody, welcome back to Marritt's Koi Pond. It's Monday, August, don't know what the date is, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I just thought I'd do a quick pond update and let everybody know how I'm getting on with this ozone system. So, let's go and have a look. Fish are enjoying life, growing. Water's a little bit murky because my last video I mixed some spirulina powder with some sake growth food because I didn't want to go out and buy a bag of colour food this late in the season, so I mixed some spirulina powder in with the growth food, and of course they're swimming in a spirulina soup now, but that won't do them any harm, that will help the colour. What have I got to do? Oh, before the weather turns, see that warrior over there, that Japanese warrior against that post where it normally sits in the corner next to that shower. But I've got to go and treat myself. I've got to go and buy a Karcher wet and dry hoover, because where those aces are planted there, that soil level is a lot higher than the base that shed is sitting on. And where the rats got in there a couple of seasons ago, or even last season, they've knocked all the soil from there, knocked it down in between the shed and the filter, in between the shed and the pond, and I just can't get in there. You can't get a spade, a shovel, a hoe or nothing in there. And I suppose there must be about 30-40 kilos of soil just been dragged down there, and it's obviously bridging a gap between that pond wall and the shed, so I don't want that to get wet and damp and rot that shed out. So I shall have to I'm going to have to treat myself to a Karcher wet and dry and hoover that all up before the weather turns. At the moment that soil down there is nice and powdery and dry, so I need to do that before the weather turns, and then that warrior can go back in its rightful corner there. I moved the pagoda up here, sat it on the patio there. It used to live down there. Oh look, nice lanterns. Used to sit there where them lanterns are, but I put the lanterns there, and I've moved, like I say, I've moved the pagoda up there. That weighs an absolute ton. Although that breaks down into 3 or 4 pieces, that's not cast, that is hand carved out of proper stones, not reconstituted sand or cement or even concrete. You know, that is proper carved stone, and it weighs an absolute ton. I'll tell you what I have noticed. The old aces have started turning. All the leaves have started turning red. This was like an olive green, the leaves. Right there, look, you can just about make that out, olive green. But with the weather now, it's turning. I'll tell you what else I've noticed as well. Don't want to be depressive or anything, but the nights are definitely drawing in. These fish, their last feed is at 9 o'clock at night, and now I'm having to put the pond lights on, otherwise they'd be feeding in the dark. Nice tomatoes. Tomatoes are doing well. I've probably had £1, £2 of tomatoes off of here already. I don't know what that was, £3 out of Tesco's or something. Already come planted up in the planter. Don't know if you can see the see that gap there between the shed and that pond wall. There's just no way you can get a spade or anything in there. Even a garden hoe, you know, I tried making something up, just like a scoop. Just can't get down there. So it's going to have to be a wet and dry. Air source heat pump is working. Whisper quiet, that is. Oh, let's go and have a look at my grapes. Oh, I've never known a year like this for grapes. Oh, grapes everywhere. Yeah, that warrior is obviously facing up towards the house and lives in that corner there. So once I've got this wet and dry hoover, get all that soil up, that can I can move that back to where its home is. Here we are in the filter house. That is my alt meter, 324 millivolts. That is absolutely spot on for this ozone system, and the title of this video you know, is going to be about, is this ozone system working for me? Well, the answer to that is an absolute yes. I've shown you this before, but that's a 2-gram ozone unit. The air is being fed from a 20 litre an hour, or 20 litre a minute, sorry, air pump which lives down there. Goes through a moisture trap, and it goes through flow meter. There's a flow meter, and it goes into the ozone unit. Like I say, 2 grams. 2-gram unit that is. Comes out of there, goes into this mixing tube. Now when I first fitted this, I had my doubts about this mixing tube because it isn't the most efficient way of mixing ozone with water, but you know what, it's working, absolutely working. When I first fired this up, or rather before I fired it up, I took an alt meter reading and I was getting 170 millivolts. And just bear with me, I've got a sheet here with some values written on it. Just bear with me while I get this sheet. Right, I've got my sheet. And she is reading 323 millivolts. And I've got a sheet here that gives me some values. Different millivolt readings. But basically what it's saying to me is, where are we? 120 millivolts. The water is very polluted. The pond filtration and aeration has not kept up with the organic load. goes on 120 to 200 millivolts. The water is polluted, the pond filtration and aeration is struggling to keep up with the organic load. Then we've got a reading of 200 to 300 millivolts. The water is relatively clean, the pond filtration and aeration are keeping up with the organic load. Now 300 to 400, the water is extremely clean, the pond filtration and aeration are more than keeping up with the load. This should be the target range for all koi ponds. Well, there we go, 323, look, I'm well pleased with that. And according to like I say, this scale, anything between 300 and 400 millivolts, the water is extremely clean. Pond filtration and aeration are more than keeping up with the organic load. This should be the target for all koi ponds. So I've gone up from 170 millivolts, which, you know, according to this scale here, the water is polluted. Now I've got loads of filtration on here. I've got 4 kilos of I've got 40 kilos of, well, it's not BHM, it's that secure, is it, infrared ceramic media in the shower. I've got about 200 litres of Oazi LX13 in the bio chamber, and obviously it's a drum as well, so it takes all the heavy stuff out. And then I've got an homemade upflow filter there, which I suppose that must hold, I don't know, what would I have in there, 15 litres maybe of K plus media. So question, is this ozone working? Absolutely, absolutely well pleased, absolutely pleased to punch with it. And before I put that, before I mix that spirulina powder up with that sake growth food, that pond water was absolutely crystal. You could see to the, well, you always could see to the bottom, but you was looking through a coloured haze, if you like, you know. But since this ozone's been fitted, it's like gin clear, just like tap water. See, right through to the bottom, it's all the serology, all the whiteness on the fish really shines through, you know, even at 5 foot deep like this pond is. Well chuffed. And the other thing this has proven to me as well is, you know, I've been keeping an eye on my water parameters, and it has taken out the chloramines out of the water, which is the main reason why I bought it, because this big blue is so expensive to run. 195 quid for a bag of catalytic carbon, you know, and that is well exhausted, that carbon in there. And this ozone system is more than knocking those chloramines on the head. So am I pleased with it? Absolutely. Would I do it again? Absolutely. This runs 12 hours a day, runs from 7 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock, and it switches off to allow the air source heat pump to come on, and then after the air source heat pump has switched itself off, once it's reached 24 degrees, then I might manually turn it on straight after, or I might leave it till about 7 o'clock at night to run till 9 o'clock at night, depending on what my altimeter reading says. But that reading is absolutely spot on, and this was calibrated yesterday, and it hadn't been calibrated for a month. I calibrated it yesterday with, where are we, Hannah, 470 millivolt ALP test solution. Now I was a bit impatient. Well, I tried calibrating this before, I was a bit impatient. I was obviously poured that calibration fluid into a little tiny container, put the probe in it, and I was only sort of giving it 10 minutes, you know, and then I was adjusting this to 470. But what I learnt yesterday was just be patient, just put the probe in the container, containing this test solution, just walk away for 20 minutes, come back, and this said 469 yesterday when I left it half an hour. Test solution is 470, so I'm well pleased, well chuffed. Drum's just gone off, sorry about that. Well pleased with that. What else is this? Oh, it's just loads of things. I can't read all this out to you, but yeah. What else have we got? 400 to 500 millivolts. The range may be too oxidative for long-term pond health. So the idea is to keep that reading there below 400. 350, well, where it is now is absolutely spot on, but you know, as long as it doesn't go above 350, I'm well happy. Just one final point I wanted to mention before I call it a day is, you know, previous seasons I can get away without dosing this pond about 4 to 6 weeks. You know, every 4 to 6 weeks there'd be a problem. There'd be either flukes, I don't know, Chillinella, Costia, you name it. You know, you dose your pond, get away with it for 4 to 6 weeks, then I'll have to redose again. Since this ozone has been up and running, there's not been a chemical anywhere near this pond. So that saved me some money. I know the ozone unit itself is initially expensive, but once you've got it, you got it. Alright, you might have to get it serviced once every 2 years, 18 months every 2 years, but you know, that's going to be cheaper than buying a bottle of Lernex Pro, do you know what I mean, to get that serviced. Like I say, no chemicals been in this pond since the day I started that ozone. No flicking or flashing. Just a shame I couldn't show you the clarity really, but that's my fault as well. I mix this spirulina powder in with the grow food. But it's not doing them any harm, it's just a spirulina soup they're swimming in, so just helps with the colour of the koi. Right, I'm going to call it a day there. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like thumb and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And I'll catch you next time. Thank you. Bye.